What is up, my fellow Sambarians? I've been seeing a lot of posts with questions about spark plugs. I'm certainly not gonna have all the answers as far as, you know, what's the best and what's better, but I can tell you what's recommended and you can make your decisions. Hey guys. Hi. Where are you going? The ducks are on the move. So, this is a 92 KS4, not supercharged, so it is carbed, and carbureted versions of the Sambars take a NGK plug. It's gonna be backwards, but it takes the BKR5E-11, and god dang, there's two versions for the Sambars. Now, if you're carbureted, yours is gonna take a 5, which I believe the 5 is the heat range, and if you're fuel injected or EMPI, yours is gonna take a 6, so it's BKR6E, not BKR5E-11. And the 11 stands for 1.1 millimeters, which is the gap, the spark plug gap. So they should come pre-gapped for what the vehicle needs. But always check the gap just in case spark plugs, you know, misgapped, get dropped, whatever. So 1.1 millimeters roughly converts to 0.043 inches with your little circle spark plug gap or wire gap, whatever you have. So this truck would take a 5, which is the heat range. I believe it's the heat range. That's what separates the spark plugs. So you're also wondering, well, you know, these are not Iridium. These are the V powers, which I think they say is copper, but they're not actually copper. NGK explains that they're called out as copper, but they're not actually copper because copper doesn't won't withstand. They won't last very long. They have a very short lifespan, so it uses different material. And then yeah. So anyways, NGK has got some good information you can find on their websites. So anyways, if you're gonna change your spark plugs, the V powers are these BKR5 or 6E. Now, if you wanted the Iridiums, which supposedly the Iridiums are supposed to be better, they last longer, or I just read recently that they spark in all directions or something, so it has a better burn, more efficient burn, and just work a little better. And so if you want Iridiums, those are going to be BKR5 or 6 IXE or something. It's going to have IX in there, which is going to be Iridium. So when you look up the spark plugs, make sure it says IX, which will stand for Iridium. Iridium, I'm pretty sure that's what that means. So you could go with what I'm pretty sure the trucks use now, or you can change to the Iridiums. And people say the Iridiums are better. I'm just running the normal V-Power ones in here because I watched Mr. Subaru and that's what he used. So I'll probably switch over to Iridium at some point. So anyways, if that's what you're doing with spark plugs, that's what you're going to be looking for, is the 5 or 6 heat range Iridium or non-Iridium spark plug. And Iridium obviously is supposed to work better. So if you find this video, hopefully that's helpful on deciphering the spark plugs, because I mean, I was confused about it until I started doing some research and then looking on parts lists and then looking in the Facebook groups what other people use. God dang. So there you go, spark plugs. And for tools, you're gonna need a 5/8 spark plug wrench, socket, which has the rubber inside. So that's super helpful at holding the spark plug when you're going in. But I mean, not like it's, I guess you don't really need the rubber because it's not straight in on top of the motor like a typical engine. And on these ones, I know in the past I've used on other spark plugs, I'll put a little bit of high temp anti-seize on the threads, just because I get concerned about it getting stuck in the cylinder head and freaking breaking off and being a huge nightmare. But NGK says not to use any form of anti-seize on their spark plugs because these spark plugs have a special coating or use a special metal that's not supposed to corrode in the cylinder. It's not supposed to interact with the aluminum and get stuck and seize up in there and cause any problems. So don't use anti-seize with their spark plugs. It could potentially cause issues if you use anti-seize. But what I recommend using on the spark plug boot, when you push it back in there, dielectric grease. One, it helps with keeping moisture out of there and causing any kind of misfire in the spark plug and the spark plug wire boot. And also, it's very helpful to put anti-seize dielectric grease in the boot, because when you have to, change them later on, these boots can get stuck on the spark plug pretty good, and it gets difficult to remove it. I would put it on the spark plug itself. I wouldn't recommend putting it on the end going into your distributor because it gets a little bit too lubey and they can essentially kind of pop out, and then you'll be only running on a few cylinders instead of all 4 cylinders. So I recommend in the boot for the spark plug because that actually snaps in. Not so much on the distributor because it doesn't really snap in. It almost creates like a little suction when you push it on there. And putting dielectric grease on it can keep it from creating that suction. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful with the spark plugs. Again, the 5 and the 6 is depending on your engine being carbureted or fuel injected. 6 is fuel injected, 5 is carbureted, and IX in the number is Iridium. No IX, not Iridium. But yeah, hopefully that was helpful. If you got any questions or I said something that was incorrect, comment and let me know. Cool, thanks for watching.